Hello and welcome to Monica Stoker's podcast. My name is Monica and I'm an English teacher. Si hablas español y quieres mejorar tu inglés, este es tu podcast. Episode 1. ¿Cómo ir de un nivel A2 a un nivel C1 de inglés? I'm very excited to start this new podcast with one student. And the topic for today is going to be English levels, how to know your English level, how to use those English levels, many things related to exactly what do you need to know for each level, okay? And I'm going to I have as a guest Samuel today. This student I have known for some time already, but I would like you to tell us a little bit about yourself. So, what do you do? Why are you interested in learning English? And
okay, well, first of all, my name is Samuel, as you said before, and I work as a teacher. I am a lucky man because I am working in one of my passions. Teaching
and what do you teach?
I am a PE teacher, physical education teacher.
Okay, physical education, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the reasons to learn English is because I would like to teach my student in English.
Okay, but you have quite a good level. And where are you from, Samuel?
I'm from here in Spain. I live in a small town called Talavera de la Reina. It's near Madrid.
Yeah, that is not so far away from Madrid, Talavera de la Reina.
No,
okay.
It's
near Toledo, no? In English they say Toledo.
1 hour by car.
1 hour away from Madrid. So está a una hora, it's 1 hour away.
Okay.
1 hour. I'll write it down for you. It's 1 hour.
I got it.
1 hour away from Madrid. Okay.
Okay.
And so, how long have you been studying English?
Seriously, I studied English since 2050, more or less. Seriously, because when I was a kid, I studied English in school, but I think not properly, because I had never spoken, I have never listened to English like this, and I can say that 3 years ago I wasn't able to understand anything in English. I wasn't understand and communicate with anybody, and now I can understand something. I can listening to.
That's very
English.
good. That's very good. And what have you done to get this level? I think your level is around B2 plus.
Yeah, no. To be honest, I think my level might be low, intermediate, low B2. I think. But I would like to.
Well, it depends because the level is not even. Even significa igual. So it's not the same, because you can have a speaking level that is different from the grammar level, that is different from the listening level. So I'm just saying about I'm just judging your speaking level. For me, it's like a B2 plus. You're quite fluent. Okay, you're quite fluent, and I think it's more or less B2 plus. And I think when I met you some time ago, like 2-3 years ago, you were like an A2. Like a beginner, right?
I recall.
And you were doing classes with one of our teachers. I think it was Siska, and then you continued to work on this, no?
Yeah.
What kind of activities do you do? For example, give us an idea.
Well, for example, the best thing that I think I have is that I have English like a habit.
That's very important.
As soon as get up, as soon as get up, I listen to English. I study some English about grammar or something like that. At the moment, I really interested in speaking and listening.
Yeah, that's very good. That's one of the things I always say to my students. It has to be a habit. It cannot be like something you do every once in a while, every 2 weeks, and then no. Has to be like something you do every morning. It has to be part of your everyday life. Let's say, no.
Yeah.
And that's perfect. That's a very good advice. I think everybody should listen to it, but most people don't, because it's hard, because you have to get used to it, no?
It's really hard
it's really
to
hard.
understand to understand everything.
Yes, and so speaking about levels, different levels. So you think you went from an A2 level, that is, let's say A1 for the people that don't know, is almost absolute beginner, and A2 is a beginner with some knowledge, no? That you have the basic knowledge, like introduction, like weather, or
some vocabulary.
Basic vocabulary. And that was somewhere, I think, I don't know if 2 or 3 years ago, right? And then now he's a B2. I would say B2 plus, for at least for speaking. And what about what is the hardest thing for you? Is it listening? Is it writing? What do you think is the hardest part of
as I said before, as I never did, for example, listen to English or speaking with anybody. For me, my weakness would be speaking and listening.
No, but now, okay, now speaking is not your weakness. I think it's perhaps listening now or not.
It depends on the situation.
On the situation, for example, of course.
Yeah, but for example, if I can listen a basic level, or for example, I have a two beautiful daughter, and I can see cartoon with them. I can understand now, because in recently I can understand anything, but now I can understand.
Sorry, I couldn't understand anything.
Okay,
okay. I couldn't understand anything. Yeah?
Thank you. Oh, I wasn't able. No? Okay.
Well, I wasn't able. That's also
wasn't able.
That's also possible. I wasn't able.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Continue, please.
Yeah. Well, and now I can understand, for example, Peppa Pig or Benny Holly, and I so glad to
be
understand.
Able to do this. Yeah. So you watch cartoons with your daughters. You have 2 daughters, no?
Yeah, 2 daughters. Yeah.
and do they watch cartoons in English? You tell them. You ask them to watch cartoons in English, no? Do they complain?
Obviously, yeah.
Okay, so that's very important. This is another thing that I would like to emphasize, that if you have children, one of the most important things you should do is have them listening to English all the time, right?
All the time. Every single day. Day in and day out. It's important. It's like a sport, because
it's like a sport.
It's like a sport because actually I keep on doing sport.
Okay. Actually, what do you mean currently? That's also false friends. Currently, or do you mean really? Okay. Actually is a Actually is a false friend. Be careful with that word, because actually means in English means realmente.
Okay.
It doesn't mean actualmente, ¿vale?
Okay.
If you want to say actualmente, you have to say currently.
Currently. Okay. Currently. Or as a matter of fact, for example.
Well, that's a different thing. As a matter of fact, is another. Currently means actualmente. Okay.
When there is coincidence, I think. Okay.
So actualmente, did you mean Did you mean realmente o actualmente when you were?
Realmente, really, realmente.
Okay,
Actually.
realmente entonces actually is correct.
Actually,
Actually
yeah, I
is
know.
correct. Okay, so.
Okay.
Sorry, what were you?
Okay. I forgot.
You forgot. You were talking about your daughters, and you were
Okay,
talking
well,
about doing sports.
yeah, as I said before, or as I mentioned, I really keen on doing sport. My main sport now is English, okay? Because I need to train a little bit English every single day because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel happy because I can, or I felt that more confident than
I
before.
feel more confident.
Yeah,
I
more confident.
feel.
Absolutely,
Okay.
I feel.
Feel more confident.
I feel more confident, and I so I was so happy.
Yeah, and also you made a very big effort, and that's very, very good because it's not easy to do all this. And if you had to give a piece of advice to teachers that are in your situation, what would you say
Okay.
to them?
Okay. Well, uh, fortunately, I realized that English could be really useful. Okay, and I figured out that I can say there are three secret weapons for me. Okay, to learn a new language. In my case, English. Okay, the first the first one I would like to say that you have to live the language. Okay, you can use you can speak, you can listen every single day. You can talk about in English. Okay, is the first one, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
The Okay, the second one, I would say that your English makes you feel good. It means that it has enjoyable. Okay,
That it has to
is
be enjoyable.
yeah,
Okay.
enjoyable. Yeah, you can find a thing that which you like. Okay, for example, as I said before, I really found out doing exercise or doing sport, and I try to find things about it. Okay, and it's really motivated for me. Is the key. And finally, I guess that you sorry, the final thing I would like to say that it doesn't matter, or I don't mind making mistake. Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
mistake are not bad. It's totally different. Mistake are excellent opportunity or excellent thing to learn. And for me, three things would be the key for me
Yeah. That
to learn
is.
a new language.
That let's summarize this because I find it.
Yeah.
I think this is a very wise advice.
Yeah.
Or pieces of advice. You know, advice is not countable,
Yeah.
so you have to say pieces of advice or advice.
Okay.
So,
Okay. My,
okay,
my
let me
advice.
see. The first one
Okay.
is to live the language. I found that sentence very nice. To live the
Okay.
language, that expresses everything, you know.
Yeah.
You live
Yeah.
with the language is one of the things that I always say to. And this is also fits into the idea of getting it into your habits, part of your habits.
Yeah.
The second is that you have to enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and how do you enjoy it if you? That's the question I have. If you're not especially motivated by English,
For
how do you
example,
get that motivation?
for example, in my case, I really love watching YouTube video
Okay.
about, for example, personal develop.
Personal development.
Personal
Yeah.
development is I recommend it. And
And what you mean is that you love to watch them in English. These
yeah,
videos, right?
it's true.
So
How
you
to how to learn English, or how to pronounce a different word, or there are as you know, there are hundreds of thousands web about how to learn English in our case.
Yeah, of course, there are many, there are thousands. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, but what you're saying, what I understand is that there has to be a connection between something that you like in English.
Hmm.
So a connection of something that you like in English language. So,
Yeah.
for example, I like to watch videos on personal development, and it so happens that most of these videos are in English. So that's
Yeah.
one reason why I would like to know what they're saying, and that motivates me to learn English. Yeah, that's what
Absolutely.
you're saying, no? So you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
you find a connection between the two,
I
right?
agree.
Someone?
Yeah, yeah. It's right.
Yeah, that's very good. That's a very good idea. I must say I do the same.
Yeah, for
I
example, I recommend it. I was thinking about it. There is an excellent web called Big Speeches in English with subtitle.
big
Is
speeches, como
Yeah, with
big speeches
speeches.
or discursos, big
Yeah.
speeches, yeah.
Uh-huh.
With
That's
subtitles,
it. With subtitle, with great subtitle. Okay.
yeah.
And you can watch celebrities and famous people to make
Talking.
an speech talking,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, okay.
Or in a TV shows or
Mm-hmm.
program is a select, no, it's
Yeah.
pick up some famous videos, and I recommend it because it's really amazing videos,
Yeah.
and
So
it's
they
a great.
and why do you say great subtitles with big subtitles? What do you mean? You can adapt the size of the subtitles?
Yeah, because this subtitle is in high way, in a high way according to talk the the actor, for example, and you can follow easier
Yeah, of course.
the.
If the subtitles are bigger, it's easier to follow, and you
Yeah,
can adapt the speed or
yeah,
only the size. I don't know if
it's
I'm
on everything.
everything, the speed and the
Yeah,
size.
yeah.
Ah, okay. And but this is in on YouTube or is another
It's
platform?
no, it's I found on YouTube.
You found it on YouTube. Okay, that's a
Yeah.
good tip. Okay, let's go rewind a little bit, rebobinar to rewind, because
Uh-huh.
we're going sidetracks, no, estamos yendo por laterales, no.
Yeah.
So one is to learn the language. You already said it. Make it a habit.
Language
To enjoy it, and my question there was, how do you enjoy it if you don't enjoy it? For example,
Yeah,
there are some situations.
there is another good option
Yeah.
to enjoy it. For example, if I want to practice my English, I will connect with native people
Yes. Also very
through
important.
through a specific web
Mm-hmm.
or a specific app, such as italki or
I
HelloTalk,
I talk. This is language exchange.
a language exchange.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you teach them Spanish, and they teach
yeah.
you English. And is it easy to find people, or is it
Uh,
difficult?
is is depend on your interest, okay? Because first is not easy, okay? But you can insist, you can text a lot different people, and you can find a partner that he can or he wants to learn Spanish, and you can help him or her and some days you can connect with him or with her, and for me, in my case, I am a lucky man because I didn't I didn't have any problem
To
to
find people.
find people, and
But the, mhm.
I have some native friend, and I can connect with
And,
them,
uh-huh. And that's a
and
very good topic also to speak on another podcast, what exactly to do with the language exchange.
yeah,
And so this is another topic because I think some people don't know exactly what to talk about, what can you teach, who are you going to meet. So let's go to the third point.
yeah. The third point,
Is you shouldn't worry about your mistakes, right?
yeah, absolutely,
Okay. So I completely agree with that because we're very worried about mistakes, and then that prevents us prevents us
yeah,
from talking, and that's not very good because at the end you don't say anything, right?
yeah.
So
Many people,
that's very important, but sometimes this is not possible when you are very shy, tímido.
yeah,
If you're very
yeah,
shy, then it's not so easy to do this because you're always worried about what are the people going to think about me. But Samuel doesn't have that problem because he decided to record with me this
no, no,
podcast. So this
I don't have any problem
no,
with
that's very
that.
good because
No,
things. Well, so
no,
what?
it's
I sometimes I say to myself, I used to be very shy too. I remember at the beginning when I started on the internet, and I thought, my God, what are they going to think and all this? But there was a
yeah,
moment where you just don't worry anymore. You just say, I'll do it, and who cares? Besides, there are so
okay,
many people doing things nowadays, no,
yeah,
online, and especially young generations. They start with not only podcasting, YouTubers or
yeah,
Instagrammers, or they're doing so many things. They
yeah,
expose themselves so much, you know. So
yeah. I
who's
agree.
going to care about you? I mean, I would think who's going to notice you? There are so many people doing the same. This
Yeah,
is what
I
I
agree.
think.
I agree with you. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, nobody really notices.
For example, I don't care. I don't mind speaking English with native people, or whatever in English, obviously. And I can try to speak every single day.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
important because you make the time,
Hmm.
and you save a lot of money because if you have to take classes, it's also more
Yeah,
expensive, no?
it's expensive. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's
It's
true.
more
It's true.
expensive. And okay, so going back to our topic because we're always going in sidetracks, no? To our topic of levels. I was saying at the beginning that there are different levels really, and
Hmm.
one student can have different levels regarding the different aspects of the language. So one level for the grammar, one
Okay.
level for the speaking, and
Hmm.
and it sometimes is. For example, I find many times people who have a very high level in use of English or grammar,
Hmm.
and a very
Writing.
low level in speaking, and
Yeah.
that is because of the way they studied, right?
Yeah, it's a same because it's depend on the skills, no? Is because there are four main skills, and Spanish people are good at writing, reading, use of English and grammar. But on
But
the
it
other
has to
hand,
do, yeah, but it has
it's,
to do with the method they used
yeah,
to
yeah,
study, and the method was basically more reading and not listening or speaking, and that's the
mhm,
problem that most people have, right?
yeah,
But
uh,
then you have, I would like to describe a little bit the levels, like when you, for you, what is
yeah.
your target level? What
Uh,
level do you think you will make you feel comfortable with the English
uh,
language?
Well, first of all, I would like to take an advanced level, okay?
Advanced
But
level, yeah.
advanced level, I would like to polish my English right now, because to be honest, my level might be an intermediate level, but I think there is a huge step to intermediate
From intermediate
from
to
intermediate
advanced.
to advanced. I think
Yeah.
because as you said me before, not
As
only
you said before, or as you told me.
yeah, as you told me, not only you are you good at in grammar or use of English or in English, but also should be good at in another skills like speaking and listening. You know?
Yes, yes, and it takes a long time. But
Yeah.
so, under your view, what do you think you need to get to an advanced level?
Uh, I guess that if you want to get an advanced level, you won't have any problem with simple things like verb or grammar, and also you can understand everything in English in whatever situation. Uh,
Okay,
and
but I would say, under my view, I I have thought a lot about this. I even wrote a course for about this. And under my view, the most important thing is to start with the structures, and especially
yeah,
the verb tenses.
yeah,
The verb tenses
especially.
is the first thing that makes a difference between a B2 level and a C1 level, for example. When people can when people have a good command of the English tenses, normally they can be categorized as a C1, as an advanced level. The vocabulary, you also have to have a lot of vocabulary, but that's another thing. The first thing I think for me is the verb tenses. And one of the things, for example, at the beginning when we were speaking, when we started this conversation, I asked you how long you had been studying English, or how long, and you said to me, how do you say that? Can you answer to me, how long have you been studying English?
Yeah, I've been studied English since 2015.
And 15.
Seriously,
Okay, I didn't know, I don't know if I didn't hear
15.
you well, or but I thought you said I have studied English, or something like that. And there's a structure there, for example, llevo
Yeah,
hablando inglés, llevo viviendo en esta ciudad, that we
I've
usually have to say that in English. You need to say I have been, like
been.
you said it right. I have been, or I've been, that contraction. I've been studying English for lo que sea, or
Yeah.
since a specific date, 2015, no?
Yeah.
For, so it's very important to make this correlation, because in your head
Yeah.
you're thinking llevo, and then you choose the wrong tense, no?
Yeah.
And
There are subtle details,
exactly,
but
subtle details,
subtle detail which
sutiles detalles, no?
yeah are crucial
Yes, exactly. But
to show up at your level. I think.
yeah, and the other very important factor to that makes the difference between a B2, for example, a C1, is the use of conditionals, because many times people they have a B2 level, they don't know how to use the conditionals, and the moment you ask them a conditional, they have trouble thinking, how do I answer this? For example, I'm going to test Samuel. Okay, let's see if he can make it.
Okay, I'm afraid.
No, it doesn't matter. As you said it, the first thing, one of the three things that you have to learn English is
It's true.
not to be afraid of making mistakes. I also make
Yeah, yeah.
mistakes, and
Okay.
sometimes I also make mistakes, because I am not perfect. Everybody makes mistakes, so
Okay,
it doesn't
okay.
really matter. Okay, let's say.
Let's get the ball rolling. Okay.
Okay, very good. Let's get the ball rolling. So my question is, how would you translate C? lo hubiera visto, te lo habría dicho. Si lo hubiera visto, te lo habría dicho.
Okay, if I had
Seen it.
uh,
Yeah, if
seen
I
it,
had seen it.
I would have said to you.
Okay, normally we would use tell. Okay, how would it be with tell?
Okay, I would have told you.
Very good. Okay, can you say it again?
Okay, if I had seen
Seen
I
it, seen it,
seen
porque
it.
es
Sorry,
lo.
if I had
Seen
seen
it.
it, I would have told you.
Very good. Excellent. That's, you see, you're getting to the advanced level.
Yeah.
The-
I have
that
to
is-
practice.
that-
I wish.
That
I
is the
wish.
third conditional. And that is not very easy to translate. Most people make mistakes with this conditional because the structure is very complex and it's also complex in Spanish. But you have to get to the point where you don't even have to think about it, right? You just say it, ¿no? Si lo hubiera visto, no lo habría dicho. There's one thing, now I remember.
Okay.
You were talking about say and tell. Do you know the difference
Oh,
between
yeah.
say and tell? What is the
More
difference?
more or less.
Okay, tell me.
I know the not the difference, but I know that when I use say, I know that after that you can use to. Say to you, say to
Yeah,
everybody.
that's correct.
But and on the other hand, if you use tell, you can use the pronoun before or following
yeah, well,
the verb.
tell
you,
me,
the last,
tell him.
tell me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But that's one difference. It's more, that's a difference related to more to grammar, but not to the meaning. Okay.
For
So,
example, it will be say to say things, no, or to and tell. Tell a story or tell
Yeah,
something.
that's called in English a collocation. Collocation is when two words or three words go together. So in a certain order. For example, tell a story.
Tell
You
the
don't
truth,
say
yeah.
say a story. So basically we have two differences. Say is to say only one thing.
Only
And
one thing.
tell it, that's why it is say a word, say your name, only one thing, no? And that's why it's incorrect sometimes to use say, because you mean something longer. When you mean something longer, so meaning more than one thing, you use tell, right?
Okay.
So that's
I
the
got
main
it.
difference. And then there's another difference, and this is collocations. This means that you have to use say with certain words, like say goodbye, say hello, say a word, say your name. All these are collocations. And tell a joke, tell a story. You know, you have to know the collocations. And then you can also say that tell is used for an order or instruction. For example, I told you not to do that. You use that with little children, you know, this kind of expression. Te dije que no lo hicieras. I told you. In that case, it's not say, it's tell. So I told you to clean up your room. Te dije. It's confusing for a Spanish speaker because decir in Spanish is only one, no? Decir,
Okay.
you can use it with as a say, as tell. Te dije que limpiaras tu habitación. I told you to clean your room, and you didn't do it. So it's an order or an instruction, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Someone? So that's the differences
That's
that we can say. So I'm going in our next class. I am going to ask you, what I usually do is I ask the vocabulary, no? And I start asking what I just said, no? This grammar rule, for example.
Yeah.
So what I do, I write down the rule on Skype, and then this is like my notebook, and the next, I'm going to ask the vocabulary, no? If we have any vocabulary or any rules. Because at the beginning we were talking about, I was telling you, I was saying, make sure there's no background noise. So what's the meaning of background noise?
Background noise is, in Spanish, is ruido de fondo.
Yeah, okay. So make sure there's no background. Well, sometimes you cannot make sure, but it's the best. Okay, so a little bit to wrap up about the levels, okay? The levels, we didn't really specify what the levels are in terms of vocabulary, but I would like to say that one of the ways to tell your level is to know if you can pass a certain exam, right?
Yeah.
So for example, if you want to know if you have a B2 level, you can take a mock exam. Mock exam is un examen de prueba, and see what your score is, you know, and a B2 first certificate, for example. And if you do this mock examination, maybe you can check your level. That's a way to test it. Well, you would need somebody to do the speaking and the writing, but you can test the grammar, no? And the use of English, and the reading. Another way could be by just talking to a native and see how far you can go, and you know, and if you're usually the native speaker has any idea about levels. If you're kind of fluent, you're between a B2 or C1. C1 is more like you don't make so many mistakes, okay, with the verb tenses. So I said one important thing in order to tell your level is how you manage the verb tenses. So let me do the last challenge for Samuel, okay? ¿Se lo hubieras contado si ella te lo hubiera pedido? That's very difficult.
Yeah, if I had told.
Se lo hubieras contado. Se lo hubieras contado is a question. This is in verse. The if is in the second place. Se lo hubieras contado si.
Had you told her or him?
No, it's a question. Would you have? Would you?
Okay.
It's the other way around. So it's not an affirmative. It's a question. So we have to put, and we start with would.
Would you have told her or him?
Her or him? If.
If you
si yo te lo hubiera pedido.
If I had
asked
you.
Good. Okay. If I had asked you, would you have told her or him if I had asked you? You. That in that case is the past perfect, no? The sentence that goes with it is the past perfect. And the question, would you have told, is would, subject, have, past participle of the main verb.
I have to practice.
No, well, that's very difficult. That's a very difficult translation. That's a C1 translation, C1, C2. So that's no wonder it's difficult for you, no? But you did it quite well, I thought. So
it's my next challenge.
Okay, so if we can, we'll meet another time, and we'll continue with these conversations, and we'll choose a topic for every week. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.
You have been listening to Monica Stoker's podcast. Si quieres saber más sobre este podcast, por favor visita el blog para aprender inglés o el blog del inglés de Monica Stoker.